Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Arms Race, the Cold War era. We're playing as the United States, and we're into the late 1980s. So far, things have been going reasonably well. We have a healthy lead in terms of points, almost a 10-point lead over the Russians. We just took India for the Western Democratic Alliance. The Soviets have taken a bunch of countries in South Africa in Africa and South America, but we've started to turn some other countries toward our own favor. We've won over Iran, we've won Afghanistan, we've won India, which is sort of the crown jewel of our recent accomplishments, and we're almost winning Pakistan. So things seem to be going our way. Our budget is about 1,000 over the Crisis of the Elites stage, which is kind of where everything falls apart. So we've got a reasonable buffer there. The Soviets actually are in better financial shape than us, which is interesting when you consider history versus the way this game's playing out. But nonetheless, this appears to be going reasonably well for us. The space race, we've kind of had some logistical issues where our launcher research kind of got shelved because the way the game treats launchers and facilities is if you get too far ahead in one than the other, then you completely shut down the progress on the other. So it's a little bit confusing there. But overall, I think things are going really well for us. And we'll see how this episode plays out. We're kind of closing in on the end of the game here. Again, we're into the late 1980s. So the Cold War should be wrapping up around its historical conclusion. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to my live stream itself. This was taken from a live stream from a couple of days ago. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to my live stream, and we'll see how things play out. I hope you guys are enjoying the series, and I will go ahead and I'll catch you guys at the end. But with all of that being said, let's go ahead and jump in, and away we go. No Soviet forces there. Well, that's good. They've joined our block. And that is a huge swing to our favor. What's this thing again? Assault of the Tchabug Palace. Yes, we'll support local government in Brazil. Economy is still hanging in there. We'll try and get that support up over 20%. You can see the Soviets sent in tanks into Afghanistan again. Meanwhile, they've caught up in space vehicles, but they're still... I think they may have just reset their own space thing, because they don't have a star here, but they did get a star here, which to me says they probably had to reset their launchers as well. Sure hope that's the case. Great Britain, local Democratic Party, yes, thank you, that's a godsend. 20 free influence. The British influence was declining. Come on, can we just crush these guys once and for all? Influence in Pakistan. Gonna need the military there. Pakistan's only worth 1. Interesting that Afghanistan is worth 2. Okay. There we go. Now we need to start investing in launchers again, because ground facilities are open. We're ahead on ground facilities, we're tied on launchers. Real concern is that we're spending nothing on launchers right now. It means we're making no progress there. Alright, so we win in Afghanistan. I think. Yeah. We won in Afghanistan. It's 1988, folks. What's this? The Hunt for Red October? Plus 10 firepower for Aileron, blah, 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 for us. Should give us an advantage and stuff. Alright, so we've got a huge economic surplus at the moment, which means we're going to start spending money on launchers. Should have spent more than that. Launchers. Our surplus is pretty healthy, though. So we're going to pour in a ton of military forces here to Pakistan, so that as soon as we get them to rebel against their government, hopefully we win this without a fight. Alright, So we had a surplus of diplomats. That surplus is gone. All right. Question is where we strike next. Good deal of support in Algeria, actually. We could probably get them on board. I don't know if there's any other countries that are worth like 2 or 3 that we want. Maybe Southeast Asia or Australia. I don't know why Australia isn't on our side as it is, but... Alright, let's see where the economy is now. Hate for us to be in the black. The Soviets have so much more money than us. God damn it. Like, I can't actually afford to do anything anymore. Negative 67. We may be headed toward a crisis of the elites. Not if we start a revolution in Russia first. Can we change the Russian government? Could we win them over via diplomacy? Alright. Probably should have been supporting rioters in Russia all along. Would have kept them off balance, I think. Alright, we need 3 more diplomatic points here. I don't want to support a riot, and in fact, I may have to do a support parade for the Pakistani government here, because we need to get the influence high enough before we hit 80. If we hit 80 here too soon, I think we're at risk of the Russians launching a counter-revolution in Pakistan. Although I guess that wouldn't be an issue, as long as our support level comes up. Maybe we're fine with that, because even if they throw military forces in there, it doesn't really hurt us. Because we can turn that into a new government anyway, even if they're at war. Alright, where are we at? Negative 72. Great. Continue investing 2 in the economy, and then we're going to spend 1 more on the launchers. I think we've got enough for 1 more year. Alright, so the Pakistani government has joined us in the Western Alliance. Meanwhile, we're just really going to try and overthrow the Soviets here. We can get that opposition level up. And I think we can actually start a war in the Soviet Union. Let's see. France would like to support local nationalists. No. Why would I do that? This. Reorganization of oil market. Minus 1,000 from the U.S. budget. Shit! That gives us a crisis of the elite. Oh, for fuck's sake! Everything's reset. Everything's reset to 0. Fuck. Great. Just great. Ow, that feels really random. God damn it. We have no money on military production or anything else like that. We basically are stuck with the diplomats that we have, unless we get maybe +2 each year because we have Nixon, I'm not sure. Well, the event is triggered by something. I forget exactly what, but there's certain ways you cause these triggers to occur. I'm just not sure what I did. It is somewhat my fault. The USSR is supporting revolutionaries in the United States. Brilliant. Well, guess what, USSR? 2 countries can play at that game. Except now we're going to have to divide our military forces between a revolution here at home. And overseas. Yeah, take that, Soviets. Both of us are having revolutions in each other's countries. In each other's home countries. Somehow the Soviet military strength in the U.S. is greater than our own. Don't quite understand that. Right. Actually, now that we've moved on to the next year, where are we at? So we're still somehow we're still in the crisis of the elites. We have another crisis of the elites, I guess. I don't understand how, but we do. Our economy's a mess. We have no military troops left. No espionage left. We're about to lose. We're about to lose! We came so close. What's this? Crisis of the elites. Are the Soviets having one now? Or no, we're having one. Damn it. Does this mean we have it again? What I don't understand is, like, is the crisis stay until we get back above the crisis stay until we get back above the threshold? Our support is basically non-existent in the United States. Meanwhile, the Soviets just about crushed the rebellion in their country. Now we just have to try and hang on here domestically at home. Doesn't look like we're going to do that, though. A Soviet governor in Mexico. Brilliant. Meanwhile, the revolution in the Soviet Union is about to fail. Fuck! I need more diplomats and soldiers. I've got 0.3 support in my own country. I think we just had another crisis of the elites. I can't get the economy back on track. That's, I think, multiple crises now. Crises. But we're scoring more better than the enemy. Hey. Alright, well, it's only a matter of time now. Because I have no money to build things. Like, I'd have to invest entirely in the economy to try and get it back up over 2,000. But we're not, that leaves us with no military left. Like, by the time you, the problem is once you have a crisis of the elites, you end up in such a fatal funnel that it's kind of, you're kind of screwed. I don't think, yeah, there's no way these forces we have left to us are going to last. Ready to see this flip? There you go. Soviet Revolution, we lose. And the course of the game was going so well. Should have spent more money while I was doing well, destabilizing the Soviets first. Well, that was a disappointing conclusion, to say the least. The oil crisis caused our economy to completely collapse. We didn't have enough of a budgetary buffer to withstand that, so it immediately sent us into a crisis of the elites, which wipes out all of our spending across the board, which really meant at that point that it was just a matter of time. This was a little bit of a shorter episode, but it's because of the abrupt way that the game ended. That 1,000 hit to our budget sent us into the crisis of the elites, which immediately triggered a Cold War or a civil war in the United States, which we could only fight as long as we had military resources left over from previous spending, and we could never recover. Every time we tried to spend some money on some other items to kind of bolster ourselves, the economy fell back apart, and we ended up back in another crisis of the elites. It was rough. I think to withstand some of those late game effort or events, you really need to build up a better buffer than what we had in place, and that's kind of unfortunate because we were doing really well in that game up until that point. To me, it seemed like things were going well. We had a heavy lead in points. We had a slight lead in the space race. The only area that the Soviets were doing better than us was economics. And it's kind of ironic when you think about how the Soviet Union actually fared in the economic realm when compared to the United States. And we kind of had a reverse history here, except that rather than the empire falling apart altogether as well, it was really just our own domestic economy that fell apart. So a little bit of irony there, I guess, but I guess lesson learned for next time. I do think I will play this at least one more time. We'll see. But I would like to win this game as the Americans, so yeah, probably will lead me coming back to it. But until that time, I hope you guys have enjoyed this series, and this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.